We move on now to topic 4. Topic 4 focuses on ideas to save Nebraskans money and put them in better financial situations. We start with Melanie Williams. Melanie, you've listed support for universal pre-K. That's school for 3- and 4-year-olds. A Penn Wharton study estimated the cost to be about $350 billion over the next decade. How would you pay for that program, and what would a federal-state partnership look like?
First of all, working people are being squeezed in every direction. And I know that every Nebraskan listening right now feels that. There are families who are in the position of having to go to work, but not being able to afford childcare. As I said, the minimum wage has not raised from $7.25 for decades. So cost of living is just too much for working people already. Childcare has gotten to be so expensive that working parents have no ability to pay that, pay their rent, get groceries, pay for health care, which should be free as well, Medicare for all. I think I'm the only candidate who speaks directly to that issue. I don't even know what affordable health care means. We need Medicare for all, get rid of the middlemen. But back to child care. I know that, say, when schools are out because of snow days, what do parents do? They have to go to work. And then they are at risk, if they leave their kids at home, of child welfare coming in and taking their kids because that's illegal. Families are being squeezed every which way. And I don't know, as a working class person myself who grew up through poverty, I honestly don't know how people are making it today.
Thank you for your response. Kishla Askins, you're next. You are proposing something called the SHIELD Project. You brought this up earlier. According to the project, according to your estimates, that project could support up to 9,000 jobs. Please explain what SHIELD is and why you believe it would be an economic driver here in Nebraska.
Yes, so thanks. So, as I'm canvassing and making phone calls, I hear a lot about affordability and jobs. Not only jobs, but that the jobs are not keeping up with inflation. Nebraska looks good on paper for their unemployment rate, but when you dig into the details, you see that the wages are not keeping up with the inflation. So from Nebraskans, I developed SHIELD: Security, Health, Infrastructure, Energy, and Land Defense. So it's the first time agriculture is being brought to the national security table. It is a Nebraskan-based framework that will connect all of those pieces, bringing those jobs to Nebraska. Taking that work that is normally given to the coasts, working within this administration who wants to go to non-traditional defense industrial complex, that wants to go to non-traditional think tanks, understanding that Nebraska is already doing tons of national security work, whether it's through the Global Center of Health Security, whether it's at Stratcom, whether it's down in Lincoln at the National Strategic Research Institute. These are just some of the places that are already serving our nation. And I want to further connect that and bring agriculture, biosecurity to the table.
Thank you. Senator Kavanaugh, let's go back to child care. You write that you've spent more than $300,000 on your own children for child care, and you support capping child care costs at 7% of household income. How would your plan work, and how would you plan to pay for it?
Well, yeah, as a father of 4, I've paid about $300,000 in child care. My wife and I both work for a living, and thankfully, our youngest is now in public school. But when the last one left childcare for school, I did the math on how much I had paid in childcare over the 10 or so years that those 4 kids. Childcare is an investment. My wife and I both couldn't have gone to work if we didn't have childcare. And families are facing that decision all the time, whether it makes economic sense for them to go and work or to stay home and raise their kids. And Nebraska is a state that likes to be viewed as a welcoming place for families and an opportunity for people to grow their life and their future. And so it is imperative that we invest in childcare in this country to ensure that both kids get a head start and get an opportunity at an education, but also that families have a real opportunity to work and earn a living. And they can do it without picking and choosing which one makes more sense. Because if we go above 7%, then it doesn't make sense to work outside the home. And so it is incredibly important that we choose to invest in families and giving them that opportunity. And this is an investment that will pay dividends in our economy.
We continue on with topic 4, saving Nebraskans money. Denise Powell, you are next. You support expanding the Affordable Care Act and introducing a Medicaid-like public option for every American. This comes at a time when a majority of Congress is trying to peel back the ACA. What about your plan do you believe would generate bipartisan support?
Thank you. The healthcare crisis in this country is not partisan. It does not discriminate among Democrats and Republicans and independents. And I talk to people all over this district who are really struggling right now. We know that most families right here in our state are one medical emergency away from total financial ruin. I've had prescriptions that were going to be $3,000 a month that I opted not to take. Our seniors are struggling to pay for care. We have to do something about this system. Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill dismantled Medicaid, and the cuts to the Affordable Care Act have been so detrimental to families, to nonprofit folks, to small business owners who are now either just not taking health care and hoping for the best, or they're paying twice as much, 3 times as much. This is not sustainable. We need to put back some of these pieces that the Trump administration has taken apart from a system that, let's face it, is already pretty fragile. And we need to start doing more to ensure that we're giving people more options, especially a public option, to make healthcare actually affordable. This has to be a #1 priority. I am certain that my Republican friends are hearing the same thing. So we may not be able to get the perfect solution right away, but if we commit to trying to solve this issue, I think we can and should make some meaningful change for Nebraskans.
Thank you. Our final question on topic 4 goes to Crystal Rhodes. You are a proponent of legalizing and taxing cannabis, something your campaign says would generate billions of dollars. How do you believe a federal legalization of marijuana would benefit Nebraskans?
I mean, prohibition is not working and hasn't been. Nebraska is one of the only states left in the country that has these draconian laws as it relates to cannabis. We have seen this nationwide. I'm not saying anything radical or new here. Other states have dramatically increased their revenue. But in addition to creating new revenue that is being used to fund public schools and other government services, they're also reducing the cost of incarceration and law enforcement and jails. All of these things will work together to, 1, create that new source of revenue that can be used to provide government services that everybody needs and wants, and 2, get rid of this prohibition that frankly isn't working anyway, is criminalizing behavior that a lot of adults are doing and that really just isn't productive or useful in any way. By doing this, we're gonna win both ways. We're gonna win on the revenue side. We're also going to decrease the costs of the enforcement, and it's a win-win for everyone.
Crystal Rhodes, thank you for your response.